welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. Well, let's do AEW Double or Nothing predictions. So the show was May 30th. It will take place out of Jacksonville at Daly's Place. It's just for, I know people may think they were back on the road, but not yet. Not quite yet. All right, so let's get it. Match 1. Sting and Darby Allin versus Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. Okay, so one of these guys is Sting. The other is Darby Allin. And those guys will be wrestling Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, who have had little focus on television, little exposure on television. Sting is Sting. Name value alone is fine. Darby's been focused on TV because he was a TNT champion for a long time. But Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, outside of a couple of promos, are virtually unknown to the wider audience. So it would make sense to put Page and Sky over here, but they're not going to do that because that would be dumb. So Sting and Darby, so Sting and Darby are going to win, obviously. So the question is, what do you do with Page and Sky after this? Probably the same thing you were doing with them before. They just wrestling on dark and dark elevation. And then you could say, hey, we gave you guys a shot and it didn't work. The Casino Battle Royal. Let's see. So far, we got Christian, Matt Sydal, Powerhouse Hobbs, 10, Evil Uno, Colt Cabana, Matt Hardy, Isaiah Cassidy, Mark Quinn, Jungle Boy, Penta, El Zero Miedo. And it's probably going to be a surprise. They always have surprises for this thing. And the winner gets a world title match. So looking at this list of luminaries that they have in this Battle Royal, a couple of questions come to my mind. Remember when Private Party was supposed to be like the next big thing? Remember when Christian Cage was a huge signing that was supposed to shift the foundation of wrestling or shift the paradigm of wrestling or whatever? None of that stuff happened. Now, there's still some chances as far as Private Party is concerned. They're very young guys. Jungle Boy, remember when he was supposed to be one of the franchise players? He's stuffed in this Battle Royal. Boy. Obviously, Christian's going to win, right? It makes sense for Christian to win. But when you be better off if you'd have built Christian to a big one-on-one match that was a number 1 contenders match and then had him win that, like, you could have really Booker of the Year. I know I'm second guessing the Booker of the Year, Booker of the decade probably. And by saying to myself, couldn't Christian have been wrestling like Pac in a big number 1 contenders match? And, that could be like the launching pad. And then you could have just had, again, Omega and Cassidy. Christian should have been a guy you should have been focusing on, not just going into this match, but going up against Kenny Omega in the future. He really should just be wrestling Kenny Omega on this show. That would be another way of doing this to justify his money, even if he's just going to lose. It would have been a much better deal if, while Kenny Omega was doing all his stuff in Impact, Christian was climbing the charts and beating a lot of top guys week after week, and then saying that he wants to wrestle Kenny Omega like Double or Nothing. And then he could have wrestled Pac, he could have wrestled Orange Cassidy, he could have wrestled these guys already. And, but that would have been decent to solid booking. We getting Booker of the Year booking. That's what I'm saying. So I don't know nothing about that. Hobbs they're not going to do anything with him. And Penta's, while a threat, not going to do anything with him either. So obviously the winner's just going to be Christian. I see TNT champion Miro versus Lance Archer. Now, I'm always going to have fun with watching monster trucks bash into each other. This could probably be the worst match on the show. Who knows? Probably won't be, though. It probably won't be the worst match on the show. But I'm definitely going to have fun with it. Because I always have fun with big monster truck guys doing what big monster truck guys do. I enjoy it thoroughly. So I'm going to go with Miro because he just won the title. There's no reason to take the title off of him. The AEW Tag Team Championship, the Young Bucks versus Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. I'm going to go with Moxley and Kingston. Now, the Young Bucks have beaten everybody already. But Moxley and Kingston, you still have so many options. They're a babyface team, so you have FTR. You have Private Party. You don't need to turn Jurassic Express, but you have them. You don't need to turn, what's them kids? The Varsity Blondes? Varsity Blues. You don't have to turn them, but you have those kids. You have some other people. You have the Good Brothers, who they're actually tangentially feuding with because they're also kind of feuding with the Young Bucks. So Moxley and Kingston can take the titles to a different position and have different kinds of matches because they can have brawls, they can have traditional wrestling matches. It ought to be good with them being the champs. They need to win the titles. Now, whether the Young Bucks will put their ego aside and put them over or not is the question. Hangman Page versus FTW champion Brian Cage. Of course, Hangman Page is going to win this match. Is the FTW title on the line? I do not know. I heard Tony Khan said he had some plans for that title, but those plans have yet to be revealed. I think it would be a stake through the heart of Team Taz if Brian Cage was to put the FTW title on the line in a match where Team Taz is not around the ring, and then he loses it to Hangman Page. And that would probably be like the death knell for Team Taz. And I'm 100% cool with that. So, but Adam Page is going to win. The American Dream Daddy versus the American Dream Cody Rhodes versus Anthony Ogogo. Now, there is a slim chance that Cody will put Anthony Ogogo over. A slim chance. Because he did it before with MJF. Cody kind of knows when they have a good prospect, and he kind of works very well with the new prospects. He did a good job with Jungle Boy, even though he basically just wrestled around Jungle Boy. He did a decent job with MJF. He did a pretty good job there. He did a pretty good job with Brody. He did a pretty good job with Lance Archer. So he's going to do a good job and have a good match with Anthony Ogogo. But as we can see, Cody does not always put those guys over. He did put over MJF. Is he going to put over Anthony Ogogo? I don't think so. But like everybody else on this list, on this show, what do you do with Anthony Ogogo once he loses? Because, well, what do you do if he wins? Because you can't put him in the title picture. The Miro is a champion and he's a heel. Kenny Omega is a champion and he's a heel. So, but Cody gave himself that roadblock of, I'll never book myself to be the world champion. So this is the highest Anthony Ogogo can go for a while until he does something else. They find something else for him to do, which is probably going to be feuding with Darby Allin or something. So, going to go with Cody. Anthony Ogogo shouldn't be hurt too bad by this. AEW Hikaru Shida, women's champion Hikaru Shida versus Dr. Britt Baker. Obviously, Britt Baker's going to get the crown here. It's beyond time for it, but I would smile if there was, some type of chicanery and Shida won, and then Britt Baker maybe won a rematch. But that's WWE style booking. AEW booking is pretty much do it and then we figure out what to do later, because Britt Baker has a ton of opponents that and there's quite a few people that Shida has beaten already. She has beaten everybody that's been a major part of the company already, but Britt Baker can run it back with a lot of people, and plus she's the star of the division. She has been the face of the division since she signed, so get it back to Baker. Shida has done a good job though. Stadium Stampede, the Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle. If the Inner Circle loses, then they will break up, which is why they won't lose. So I'm just gonna go with the Inner Circle. I just don't see any reason why the Pinnacle should win. Is this a good way of writing off the Inner Circle? Yes, for them to lose this match and have to break up. But I think that they just did this with SCU. I don't know if they're willing to do it with the Inner Circle too. Now, there are some good options there when you break them up. You have to ask the question though, what is left for the Inner Circle to do? Only one person in the entire Inner Circle has ever been a champion, and that's Chris Jericho. The Santana and Ortiz have never won the tag team titles. Nobody's won the TNT belt. So there needs to be some focus elsewhere. And maybe not having them as a group could help with that. But at the same time, because they even abandoned, Jericho was chasing the tag team titles too, and he lost. So you have to ask the question, like, what's next for them if they win? The Pinnacle obviously are going to go on. Like I said, the FTR as a tag team could go on. But everybody, when you try to give everybody a Superman run with the title, you have to ask the question of where does everyone else go? Like Miro just won the title and he's not going to lose it for at least a month and a half or 2 months or 3 months or whatever. Where do you go? Where do you go with everybody who should be chasing him for the belt? Who knows? They just have nonsensical feuds. So, but I still think the Inner Circle are going to win. I don't see them breaking up. In the main event, AEW World Heavyweight Champion Kenny by God Omega, versus Pac versus Orange Cassidy. This match should technically just be Kenny Omega versus Orange Cassidy. I don't see why Pac is in it other than take a pinfall. Pac, like I said earlier, Pac could be wrestling in a big singles match on this show. I mean, you already got Jon Moxley, who was one of your big stars. He's tied up in a tag team feud. Cody is in a feud. MJF is in a faction feud. You could have had Pac and Christian. You could have had, Pac and Matt Hardy. Well, yeah, I guess. You could have done any number of things to give him something interesting to do. But they instead threw him in a world title match just to take the pinfall. Kenny Omega's not going to lose anytime soon. So I'm not too concerned about it. So those are my picks. Kenny Omega, The Inner Circle, Dr. Britt Baker, Cody Rhodes, Hangman Page, Moxley and Kingston, Miro, Christian, Cage, and Sting and Darby Allin. All right, so have fun with the show. Like this video, share this video, give me your predictions down bottom, and I'll talk to you guys later.